Today we're going to do something that we don't often do. We're going to build something that actually could end up being useful. I mean, this might be a first for my YouTube channel. Normally I focus on building walking houses and pimple poppers and all sorts of various bits and pieces. What I want to create is a mobile sorting system. So this is a set of minecart chests that can be accessed from various points in your base that can then go back into a central hub that is a sorting system that will sort the items in the shulker boxes that are inside the minecart chests. There's a lot going on here. Now, the first thing that I want to create is the little hubs where the minecarts arrive that are filled with the shulker boxes, and in theory they should be pretty simple. So we're going to have one button for requesting, one button for sending back the minecart, and there's going to be two different minecart rails, the back to the hub and then the from the hub arriving at these little access points, I guess you could say, and then we should only need one redstone line, but we are going to have to do some logic here. You see, we're going to have to make it so that you can't request minecarts when the minecarts aren't actually back at the hub. And that could be a challenge, but I think I've got something. So the minecart rolls in from the hub, it arrives at the location, we can access the chest and all of the shulker boxes. When we're done with that, we hit this button, it drops down onto the bottom minecart rail, and then it activates this pulse extender, which stops the redstone signal from traveling through to the hub. So this button up at the top here is our request feature, and that will be cut off while the minecart is on its way back. I think that might work. Right, let's build up a second unit so that we have almost two access points here, and then we can start working out how we're actually going to do this centralized hub system, which, I'll be honest, is the thing that I'm absolutely terrified to create at this point in time. With these two hubs, it's now time to start running these things in. So how do I even begin? How do I even begin? Okay, I guess we need to connect up the redstone inputs. Oh no, because we need them to be separate. And the minecart, everything needs to be kept separate. We need to have like a minecart station. We need to have... Okay, well, how about this? I'll actually build up how I think the sorter is going to work, and then we can start worrying about inputs and outputs. And straight away, I've run into a bit of a hitch. You see, to make life easier, this sorter has to be vertical, so the items will cascade down it. The problem is that to actually dispense out the shulker boxes evenly throughout the entire thing it's a bit of a challenge. But with that being said, after actually giving this up and sitting on my sofa for an hour contemplating life, I think I've come up with a new system that I'm referring to as the Donkey Kong system, which is where the minecart will just bounce back and forth. In theory, it's redstoneless, and I'm hoping it should actually drop those shulker boxes out evenly. Let's see what happens. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Yes! Yes! It worked! I don't have to keep contemplating life on my sofa feeling all upset. This is brilliant. And it's probably one of the most satisfying things to watch. Right, I'm going to make sure it works every single time, which from my very basic testing of running it through 9 times seems to be the case. So now we need to make it so that the dispensers will dispense out all of the shulker boxes once all of the dispensers are fully filled in, which in theory shouldn't be that challenging. I'm well aware that they are generally famous last words for me. Right, so we have our minecart chest. We have all of our shulker boxes, we run the minecart chest through the system, and then we should see all of those shulker boxes pop out. That is exciting. That is actually very, very exciting indeed. Okay, this is good news. The next piece of the puzzle is, can we break all of those shulker boxes and get them back into the minecart? So this is going to be interesting. Alright, so there is all of the shulker boxes, all of that has worked well. Our minecart chest, which is now empty, is down at the bottom. If we activate all of these pistons, have any of them got caught? They haven't, although some of them look like they got caught, so I'm going to have to do a lot more tests here. And just so you know, if any of these do get caught, then the project is over. It's not going to function. I don't know why I told you that, because obviously if this never functions, then the video's never going to come out. I don't know why I'm telling you this bit either. Okay, here is the good news. I have tried this thing probably around about 20 times now, and so far I have not had a single shulker box escape or do anything strange. Which is, I mean, that's great news. So there it is, all of them fall down, all of them land on the hopper, and all of them have made their way back into the minecart chest. Okay, I'm feeling confident. I think we can move on to the next stage. And that is the sorting system element of this thing. And to do that, we're going to make use of a modified version of TangoTech's multi-item storage system. I'll put a link to it down in the description. He released it in 2017, I believe. a long time ago, basically. Essentially, the items gradually cascade through the system, and they will make their way into any chest that has room for it. Okay, so for example, slime balls and lime wool are the only items that can be sorted into this chest, so they will make their way into there. Any other types of items or non-stackables will just continue down through the hoppers and won't go in. Right, this is beginning to look more and more complicated as we go along, but trust me, all of this redstone is still relatively simple, and now we actually have the system all up and running in terms of the sorting of items. So I guess I should fill up a minecart chest with shulker boxes that have kind of pre-sorted items in there, and then we can actually try this thing out for the first time. That is exactly what I've done. So each one of these shulker boxes has got one item in every single one of the slots of the shulker boxes. So let's shoot those through, and then we can start dropping these items in through this chest right here and just see where they end up. If everything is working correctly, only the turtle eggs should make it down to the bottom. Okay, that's what should happen. Already this feels like it's not gone to plan. It feels like the items are going through way too fast. I don't know what I've done there. Is this built wrong? Have I built something wrong? Yes. Oh no! There is a chance that adding this dropper up at the top should hopefully limit the speed of the items and make them sort properly. Let's see what happens. I've got high hopes, but I'm also nervous. Now this time it should only be the minecart rails that make it to the bottom. So, alright, this looks a tiny bit better because we're not getting the items stacking up. Is anything making it to the bottom yet? Well, the minecart rails are. Okay, so we're getting minecart rails down here, but nothing else. Nothing else has arrived there. That was from the last time. This is very, very good news. Has it sorted all of them? I think it might be working. Yes! That actually worked! So the only items that made it to the bottom were the minecart rails, and that's because obviously there was no space in the shulker boxes for them, which is great. And then if we hit this button right here, all of those shulker boxes will make their way back into this minecart here, and you can see that some of them have got their items in there. Nice! Okay, so our hub has actually sorted items correctly. Things are working reliably. The next thing that I have to do is I have to make it so that this system only sorts items when there's actually a minecart chest down at the bottom here to receive the items, because if there's a minecart chest down at the bottom here, that means that the shulker boxes are in place, and that means that they can accept items. Obviously, if there aren't any shulker boxes here and it's trying to sort the items in, that's going to be pointless. To do that is pretty easy. All we've done is run a tripwire across where the minecart chest is that cuts off the redstone signal to the redstone clocks, which run the item sorter, so then it can't physically keep sorting out items, so that's all good. Now I'm just doing the input circuit to the breakage of the shulker boxes and then the sending of the minecarts. And I'm hoping that the timing should be done. So now when we get an input on this, the pistons go across and then our minecart gets released and will go off to one of the hubs, which I should probably start connecting up. So I've done the outputs from our hubs, which are the easiest ones because they can just all run into the same minecart line that runs back up to the top. And I feel like it's worth mentioning, of course, you can have more than 2 hubs. You're just going to have to get some form of minecart station in place. And actually, you can have more than 9 shulker boxes inside your minecart chest. I just limited it to 9 so that I could build this proof of concept relatively easily without this thing going right the way up into the sky. Especially because I wasn't sure it was actually going to work. Imagine if I had built this 3 times bigger and then it just never ended up functioning. Do you know how depressing that would be? It would have been depressing enough with just the 9, but with 27, I don't even know what I'd do. Everything is coming together quite nicely. So I've added some chests into the access points. So now these are where we send off the items. So say, for example, my inventory's full like this. I could fill up this chest right here with my stuff, and then all of those items would be sorted into the shulker boxes in the centralized hub. Now, I must admit, it is starting to look quite big and quite bulky. Obviously, if you had 27 shulker boxes inside the minecart chest, then this would be 3 times bigger. And if you had more access points, then this would be a lot more chaotic. But it's not totally unfeasible to actually build one of these in survival Minecraft, which is quite exciting. With that being said, I will just say this is a proof of concept, okay? So there could be certain flaws in the design that make it not brilliant for use in survival Minecraft that could be ironed out with a little bit more testing. And with the disclaimer out of the way, let's give this thing a full run. The first thing that we have to test is the sending and the receiving of the minecart. So we've got this redstone lamp up at the top, which tells us if the minecart is at the hub. If the minecart is at the hub, then that means that we can request a minecart. So if we hit this button, we should see all of the shulker boxes who've been broken. They are all making their way into the minecart. The minecart is then going to be sent off. Redstone lamp switches off, and the minecart is here. So we can now access all of our shulker boxes, gain access to all of the items. Once we've grabbed those, we hit this button, we return the minecart, and it will make its way back into the hub, dropping off all of the shulker boxes as it goes, which we can see happening right now, which always looks super cool. Dispense, and then redstone lamp on. We know that it's been safely returned. Now, because we can see that the minecart is in the hub, that means that we can actually start sorting items into this thing. So if I just chuck this stuff in there, all of this is things that are available in our shulker boxes, and then I'm going to throw this in as a red herring. That should just make its way straight the way through the system and into a separate storage system, but we should begin to see those items traveling up through there. Now, obviously, in the real build, if you were to build this for yourself, you would put soul sand at the bottom of this item elevator. It's also worth mentioning that this item sorter will only run when the minecart chest is in place. As soon as that minecart chest moves, then the item sorter will shut off, because obviously there's nowhere for the items to go to. As far as I can tell, this whole system has now shut off. The 16 dirt have now been transported into this little chest right here, which in real life would just be a separate storage system. So now if we request the minecart over here, we should see that some of our shulker boxes will have 16, or I guess 17 items in the first slot of them. So let's wait and see. Okay, so the minecart has left the hub, and that means that it has now arrived at our location, which is always going to be satisfying. And now we can see 17, 17, 17, and 17. Brilliant. One thing that I just want to clear up for anyone who's confused, this is a terrible example of how you would actually pack up your shulker box. The way that you would really do it is something like this. So instead of just having one item inside your shulker box, obviously you'd have a variety of different items, all of which would be able to be sorted automatically into your shulker box and be accessed from any of the access points that you have dotted around your base, and you'll be able to deposit items into those access points and have them sorted into your shulker boxes. You can send and receive minecarts. I mean, this system's pretty interesting. It's quite big and bulky, but it is pretty interesting, and I'm sure with a lot of hard work on testing and trying out various different edge cases, you could make it incredibly reliable and actually usable in survival Minecraft, which makes it a pretty... Yeah, I mean, I might toy around with this idea for the Hermitcraft server. I'm going to be totally honest with you. Anyway, I really do hope that you enjoyed this video. It's been a lot of fun to create, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya! If you do want to play around with this for yourselves, there will be a world download down in the description. That doesn't mean that you can take it and make a YouTube video on it, claiming it as your own. That's kind of not how that works. One thing that I will say about the world download is that if you do decide to rebuild it in your survival Minecraft world, you are going to have to change up the pulse extender durations, because your minecart rails are going to be different lengths and things like that, so you're going to have to do some tweaking.